Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Can hear you. I love hearing that voice.
I love it. I was just getting back into podcast voice season.
Is that different than normal voice?
Yeah, you have to be a little grizzly.
Did you check your notes on the pod?
I didn't. This is a much more professional podcast without a lot of slapstick.
I like slapstick.
That joke still smashes. It's because we were doing Golflandia for a while, and then it's just not enough to talk about week to week in golf, except today with Ryder Cup, and that's why we're here. And I just learned that SaberSim is actually launched a build for captain format for this week, so that's up. So thanks to the people at SaberSim. No sim on it, Tony, so you'll be disappointed because you're the sim guy now.
I'm the sim guy for basketball, football. I'm still standing by golf. I like just running my numbers with the old golf.
Yeah, but there's some correlation this week, right? You can actually project teams. You can project possibly team versus team, and then you could project what players are possibly going to play 5 matches or 2, as little as 2.
And that's all that matters. These game theory weeks have always been some of my best weeks just because you can literally eliminate some people because the rounds are more important than – obviously you want wins, but if some dude's only playing 2, it could be prime Tiger Woods. He's not gonna hit the winner if he's not in there enough.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're probably going to have competing narrative on what squad wins. Although you changed.
You like the U.S.?
No, I thought you were USA Slappy #1.
No, I think Europe's a lock.
Oh, me too. Okay, good. Then we're on the same page. I saw you actually tweet about the no socks for USA.
Yeah, I mean,
that
was a bad look, by the way. I mean, you can't have farmer's tan on your dress up look.
No, plus the how many of the players on the U.S. side have just had newborns? Spieth, Brooks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of daddy narrative over there.
And then Brooks doesn't even – I mean, we can talk about the matchups too, but, like, how the hell does he not play Brooks?
He's just mad at him? How do you start with Scheffler, Burns, and Harmon and not put Brooks out there every match? That's what I'm thinking. People are mad about it.
I just don't understand it at all. I mean, even Wyndham was good all year. Spieth and JT have always been a good combo. I don't understand. I liked Europe before the matchups, and then after the matchups, I like them even more.
Better, yes. And they're going to be the crowd is going to be absolutely juiced. Plus what Wyndham said, he kind of opened his yapper a little bit. And I know he's trying to flex, but there's only a few golfers on the earth that can say, I think I'm better than Rory and back it up. And so I think that likely he pairs with Brooks tomorrow because Brooks can take those incoming arrows. Him versus Rory tomorrow would be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I see that has to happen almost. I mean, you would think, unless he's just mad at Brooks, I think there's a non-zero chance that he just doesn't play Brooks till singles.
You think that?
I think I'm not saying it for sure happens, but I could see him playing 1 round before singles. I think Brooks is the worst play of the whole slate.
You do?
Zach Johnson didn't even want him on the team.
Was that narrative out there?
I mean, it was a fact. He didn't want him on the team, and I think people want to play him too, even though he's not in the first round. He's for sure not going to play both rounds the second day. So you're talking at best case scenario. In my mind, he plays 3 rounds.
Well, who are the 5-round players? I have this in my ledger. I think Rory Rahm, likely if you want to lock 2 5-match players, Rory Rahm
and Hovland, I think.
Hovland's
not sitting.
Hovland's not sitting, and if it's a birdie fest course, which I've read a few things that these guys may light it up. There's not many better birdie makers in the world than Hovland. And the only one on the U.S. side that I think – now, the U.S. is deeper. The U.S. is deeper, has a deeper bench, because I think there's 3 or 4 guys on – I would argue that on the Europe team that may not get a lot of action at all. But the one guy, probably Scheffler, I would say, would be the one. Would you think?
I don't see how they can sit Scotty. I mean, just looking at the list.
The other 2 were X and Cantlay, because they pair so well together. That team may play.
If they win, you got to think they're not sitting. They'll just keep rolling out together. But it's like you said. So on some of these events where there was multiple people, like you couldn't play the partners together because they played the whole event together. But it's almost a cheat code a little bit in this, because almost for sure if X and Cantlay play good.
Oops. Figure that out, Tony.
Who's trying to come in? Is this the 330K man? Here we go.
There he is.
Get him in the 1 hole because he won 330. Get me down here.
1 hole.
Fallick's always good with these game theory. But anyway, I'll finish this point, then we can bring him in. But if they play good, which is all we care about in tournaments, they'll play all 5 rounds and probably win all 5 if they play good. And that, I mean, right out of the gate, they play Rory and Tommy Fleetwood. So they got tough sledding right out of the gate. But if they play good together, they'll play all 5. So that's maybe the most important part of this slate is, do we correlate these guys together as like our main strategy? And it doesn't have to just be them. I mean, like any of these teams. I mean, even like Hovland, I think Rory and Tommy will play a bunch together too, just because Tommy makes so many birdies that he plays good with Rory. I mean, they're lethal to me. I'm anxious to watch that match.
Yeah, and Fallick and I were talking about this in the golf Discord today.
Big Daddy Fallick?
Big Daddy Fallick. Here's the one thing that he brought up that I think is a good, perhaps an edge, is that the 4-ball is not announced yet. So sometimes people will not forget, but fade them just because they don't see them on a matchup yet. So then you're thinking, well, it's JT, Spieth, and then Wyndham, Brooks. Fitzpatrick is one, right? I'm surprised Fitzpatrick's not out there. Aren't you, Fallick? I mean,
yeah. So I think to take it to another piece is that not only people are going to play more of the people that are in this first round of matches so far, and I think that we don't need to get unique or different with the guys that we think are going to play five rounds or whatever, or even trying to get away from the chalk there. But what's going to be interesting is when you see what the ownership is on Sepp Straka versus and Brian Harman and all these guys on that really lower tier, because everybody's going to hammer in the high priced and then hammer in the low for good reason. Those are the guys. The high price are going to be the most obvious that are going to play 5 rounds. The low tier are the ones that are going to play that are in the tournament right now playing in this first round. I don't think that there's going to be any difference between a guy like Sepp Straka and who else is playing? Who else did I say earlier on?
Bobby Mack.
And like Burns, even Aberg, all these guys, like they could easily play just 3 rounds still, even though they're playing today or in the first round. Ricky Fowler, like all these guys could easily just be playing this first round.
I think they're a lock for 3 rounds, these guys.
Sure, but I believe that everybody's a lock for 3 rounds.
No, I mean, like that's their ceiling.
Okay, you don't think they
a couple of these guys like Ricky, I don't see how he can play more than 3 unless he's just, you always have the random where the guy just gets hot and he just plays every round outside of that.
So taking it to the next step is you could play these guys that we know are guaranteed to play round 1, but like who is to say that Wyndham Clark's not going to play the rest of the 4 rounds when he crushes in round 2, or this Hojgaard kid, like he's talented. We know he's a talented player.
Hojgaard.
What's to say that he's not going to get the run? Like plenty of these
There's
guys.
no way that dude. Like, so this is where we can like take our strategies and like form them, because there's just no way that dude's playing more than 3 rounds.
I don't. But there's no.
But he
difference.
will be extremely low owned too.
Yeah, there's no difference between him playing 3 rounds and Sepp Straka playing 3 rounds.
Well, you don't want anyone that's going to play. You need to try to get someone that can play more. Like I think like Aberg could play more, just because if he gets hot with Hovland.
Oh yeah, I think Aberg and Hovland
just
can make
leave
a
them
ton
together.
Yeah, I think Aberg would be my. It's not so sneaky because he's 30% projected in flex, but Aberg would be the one lower price that I would take the biggest gamble on, because I do believe that.
In the build, if you're playing a guy like John Rahm or Scheffler or Rory or whoever in the captain spot, and then you're forcing in a few of those other guys, you're going to be forced to go down low and play these low price guys. That's just how the build works.
That's right. And I have a rule that I think I'm going to do of at least 2 to 3 in flex and captain of Rahm, Rory, and Hovland. If I have major conviction on them playing all 5 over probably even Scheffler. The question is too, Harman is interesting one, right? I think he's probably the most curious price on the board, especially since he's first out of the gate. USA is pretty balanced. They don't have the Rahm, Rory, super horse sort of imbalanced Europe lineup that they play all 5. Harman's pretty interesting. But who sits, do you think, in 4-ball in the afternoon tomorrow? Fowler? Yeah.
I mean, I think Homa and Harman are a lock to sit.
And then who am I not thinking about? Oh, Burns.
Yeah.
And
if I had to project my 4, and we might as well all predict who we think sits. And again, all this can change too based on someone just getting extremely hot and just making a ton of birdies and then they stand.
Right.
But I think for sure Homa and Harman sit, and Spieth and JT take that spot for sure. And then I think Ricky and Burns sit, and he brings in, if they need something, I think he puts BK with Scotty and Wyndham with Kawa, or he just puts Scotty with Kawa, or one of those combos. But I think Exton Cantlay play again for sure. So
and I think USA has a better 4-ball matchup than they do their foursomes. And I think on the Euro side, Straka down, Lowry down, and they may bring up only 2 guys, right? Like Bobby Mack, maybe Højgaard or Lowry.
I don't think Højgaard plays. that's my.
I would. Who knows?
I mean, I'm just very confident.
I just feel so much better about going the route of playing as many of the expensive guys as I can, and to get
I'm 100% with you on that.
And to get different is to play 2 of these guys that aren't playing in this first round, or one of them that's not.
I agree with you there for sure.
Justin Rose, I'd feel a lot more confident that Justin Rose is going to play 4 matches than I'm going to feel about Aberg playing 4 matches.
This is why. This is why. Exactly. This is why I've got 77% Harman and flex, because of that exact reason, Falik. I mean,
it's just the price with Harman too. That
I hate it, but he could play 4 times maybe.
It's just funny how like game theory, and I think this is one of the things I'm best at in this stuff. I feel like Harman's the worst play on the slate. I'm just saying it. Like, I think he's like a deadlock to play 3 rounds, 1 each day in singles, and his price is cheap though. So that's kind of the next discussion point: is 3 wins. 3 wins is probably massive at 4,600.
Yeah,
but if he loses 1, is 2 wins good? Is 1 win good? Like what? And Falik's good with this stuff. Where in past years, like what on the bottom half of the winners? Do you have this info or no?
No.
Like what was the bottom half of these winners in past years? Like what? Because I honestly don't know. Is 1 win good? Like if Bobby Mack at 4K wins 1 time, is that good enough with the studs or what?
I don't have this data. I'm sorry, I didn't.
So
I don't have it today.
An interesting one for Harman. Just some of these numbers are popping up, and I think it's interesting on DK and FanDuel. Shout out to Kentucky. And we can actually bet today, Wiley, if we like some of these. It's a good little upgrade.
Have you got your referral bonuses yet,
here,
by the way?
What'd you say?
Have you got your referral bonuses yet?
I have got a few. I'm still working on them, but
you can actually see you can actually calculate how much your friends are depositing.
That is true. I didn't think about that part.
I was like, whoa.
So some of these numbers that are interesting. Harmon's total points is minus 270, but his total is only a half point. So like they're basically telling you he's going to win 1 or 2 points, 1.5 points. BK's is 1.5 in the unders favored. Morikawa, I think, is a really good play. Spieth, the unders 1.5. John Rahm 2.5. I don't know.
So Fallick, I mean, in terms of scoring, I mean, you still have the goofy stuff, like 3 consecutive holes. 1 is a point bonus, which is hard to predict. But that's +5. No holes lost, +7.5. So you want teams that smash, just absolutely fucking kill. And I think it plays into the theory of having the best European players out there who could play 5 times.
Yeah.
Period. Unless you're a USA guy.
Well, the thing
Alex
is
thinks US win.
I didn't say that. Number one.
Who you like?
Huh? Well, I think I would, if I'm picking a side right now with the odds, I'm picking USA. USA is now a dog on FanDuel, so I'm going to take the USA side as the dog. I don't have a great feel one way or another, to be honest, but I do have a good feel of that Europe is going to play their studs 5 rounds more than USA is. It's that simple. Like I really believe that you're going to see. I'd have more confidence in playing 3 guys from Europe up top and hoping that those guys get the win, because that's the big thing is you have to get the win. It's not only getting like the smash. Nothing's more important than getting a win. No. And so if you get the win, that puts you in good shape.
Especially if you get a pairing that plays together a few times, that wins a few times. Which Xander Cantlay is up in my model too, because I think they just play well together.
And the correlation is massive, man. What happens when they just steamroll and they both go 5-0? Like, it's
JT
just,
and Spieth, you know.
If they somehow beat Rory, Tommy convincingly, like they could just steamroll people to the victory.
Yep.
And people forget about Scotty. I know everyone's like trashing Burns. This is where game theory comes in too. It's like, I feel like everyone just assumes he's not going to play with Scotty. What happens when they love each other? Scotty and Burns literally love each other. Like they stroke each other all night. What happens when they just roll people? What happens when they crush Rahm and Hatton? They're going to go right back out in the afternoon. There's no way they don't.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I think that Rory and Fleetwood are actually 2 of the hard, like as much as I want to play them, they're probably 2 of the harder plays to play solely because you have to look at the odds of this first match.
I wouldn't want to play Xander Cantlay.
No one wants to play those 2.
No, I don't think I want to play anybody in those in that 4 necessary. In that 4,
who's better at alt shot than Xander and Cantlay? I mean,
it's just it is a hard. When you look at the odds of the first match, I think that helps you figure out what you want to do the rest of the way, and it leads me to wanting to go with the bigger favorites. So that's Hovland, that's Morikawa. If you think Kawa is going to play 5 or for sure 4, I think he's definitely in play to force in there. And then you got Rahm, who's has better odds than Rory and than Rory does in Fleetwood. So like I think that kind of you can use the odds in your favor there of guessing who you think is going to play 5. The big question is what do people do with Brooks Koepka today? Like with that price tag. He's going to be the lowest owned guy, I think. He could be the second or third lowest go.
Tony doesn't like him at all
because he's 8,600, and you're picking him over some guys that could easily.
And I'm like very, very confident he doesn't play more than 3 rounds.
Yeah, he could.
Like just according to price, I literally think he's unplayable.
Alternate shot is first, Alex, and then best ball. Tomorrow. What would you say, Tony?
I mean, at his price, I literally think he's unplayable. Like, I would be stunned if he's in the winner.
All right. So who are the unplayable guys for you? Let's just go.
I'll go down the list real quick, and then you guys can comment. And this is, I actually figured out, I'm going to put a spreadsheet up for the members where I think I figured out a way similar to my MMA sheet where I can have a value column just based on odds and like matchups and stuff. I'm going to play with it while we're doing this. But so obviously the top 4 are all really good. I think BK's unplayable. And then all the way down to Homa's probably a pretty bad play at 7,600. I don't see it with him. Spieth is pretty expensive. I don't love him. Fitzy, 7,200. Not playing though. That the 1 point Fallick brings up that's great. All these guys are going to be slightly lower owned just because of not playing. But Ricky, I think Ricky could steamroll to a bunch. JT 6,800. I just don't think he plays more than 3. Aberg's going to depend on Hovland. So like if they just roll, I could see them staying together. So I think he's good.
Yeah.
Lowry, I do not like Lowry for sure. Well, he
Do you
plays
like
with
that
Straka
matchup,
the
though?
first round. What's that?
That first matchup?
I think it's a bad first matchup, and I don't think he plays in the afternoon. So I think there's a pretty good chance you're 0-2 out of the gate there with nothing the first day. I like Burns more than most will, just because I know him and Scotty love each other. Hoygaard, I think, is unplayable. I know Fallick likes him, but
I didn't say
Harman,
I liked him.
I think Harman's the worst play too. I do honestly think Harman, Straka, I don't like. So I guess Bobby Mack would be the guy at the bottom that I would take a chance on just because he's 4K. I know he can get hot with the putter. A lot of these guys at the bottom, though, I think. Who? This is a better question, I guess. Who under 6K can play more than 3 rounds?
I'll tell you.
Lowry, Burns, Rose.
You really think Lowry could play more than 3?
When you look at the roster, if you rank 1 through 12, where would you put Lowry? 6?
I would put him 8th.
8? Okay.
Well, just according to the odds, just the odds. This will rank you up for you. Rory 4-1, Hovland 4-1, Rahm 4.5-1, Tommy 6-1, Hatton 7-1, Aberg 8-1. And then a big drop off to the guys that don't play, but like Fitzy 14, Lowry 14, Rose 18, Straka 20, and then Hoygaard and Bobby Mack 40 and 50.
But you think about it, Harman could play more than 3. He's a lefty. Someone in the comment section mentioned that Zach Johnson believes he's playing the best out of his entire team right now, and maybe that's why he's out there first. Right, so Harman's half the price of a lot of the top tier guys. So if Rahm and Rory do in fact smash, if they win 3 matches, and they win their singles, Harman doesn't have to do, and you can do this in your math. We haven't done that math yet, but Harman doesn't have to do an entirely big amount of things to be in your lineups. If you don't believe that, Bobby Mack to me is probably a little unplayable. I don't love Hoygaard. Harman really is weighting very high in my model, only because these projections weight him higher. So I'm not down on Harman. You're convincing.
The advantage you have to Harman, which I do agree with you, is when you literally look at it just by price, there's just not much down here. So like if he wins 2 or 3 times, you're massive. That's kind of why I wanted to see those previous numbers where I just don't know what's good down here. Like 2 wins is probably massive.
Then bump it up, Fallick, bump it up. You said sub 6, who could play 3, or someone asked that question. Then you got Justin Thomas, who's 6'8", who really could play the next 4 if him and Spieth smash in 4-ball. Right? 6'8" Thomas. I know he's been not great, but this is the Ryder Cup, and he's with Spieth.
Yeah, and you get a chance just because he's going to be lower owned because he's not in that first. You do need to bump all the guys not playing just because of what Fallick said. The only one I think that just has no chance is Højgaard. Like I just don't.
No, I don't. I was just making up. I was just saying a name, Tony. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not harping on it. I'm just saying, like, I just don't think you can really.
Straka is going to be 3 times the ownership of Bobby Mack, solely because he's starting this.
That's exactly right.
And he is not a better play than Bobby Mack. Like, just they're so similar.
Yeah, I just shot a text to Dan from DraftKings to see if he could shoot me over some prices and scoring.
You got that kind of pull. You're just sending the old text to Big Daddy Dan and just asking him for stats.
Is Dan the busiest person in America right now?
He's texted me like 40 times a day about the Kentucky stuff.
So you think about all the guys in Kentucky he's reached out to. Well, not a few, but us. And we're all referring him people. He's got about 55,000 open text messages.
Well, maybe y'all should be texting him because I texted him yesterday.
And Alex asking him about stats from last year's Ryder Cup in the middle of all of it.
The wife see how quick he gets back.
We found out where the live final is for NFL, and I found out where it was, and I said, Dan, I want a villa there. He goes, I'll try to get you one, but you got to get some more tickets to it.
Oh, wow.
It's at the Biltmore in Scottsdale. Have any of y'all been to the Biltmore?
I've stayed at the Biltmore in Scottsdale.
It is a beautiful freaking hotel.
That's where they did the golf tournament last year that me and Cam played.
Yeah.
Yep, I stayed there. It's awesome.
So,
so I mean, and super fan USA Uncle T, my man, he loves the JT play. There's no way Uncle T doesn't believe USA is going to win. Right?
Oh, you should have heard him at lunch. Like he just you could tell him Europe's a lock, and he just can't do it. Like he's just going to sit there and root on USA all night long.
He's 20-8 USA.
Yeah, he loves it. Like he loves it. He's gonna have his Spieth shirt on. He's gonna have his hand down his pants. He's just gonna be loving it.
And the other thing is Spieth too, right? I mean, Spieth's a little cheaper. I don't love the Homa play. I agree with that. But
Spieth's a little cheaper. Where?
Spieth's a little cheaper than your Brooks and Homas that you're fading, right? So Spieth's 7-4, but if you correlate him and Thomas playing the next the next 3 together and then the singles, that might be a play off of more expensive Xander Cantlay, which a lot of people are going to play because they're out first.
It's such a hard. Oh man, I just struggle playing them.
But think about if Thomas and Spieth were out first, right? Ownership. Where's the ghost? The ownership.
Highest owned. They're going to be the 2 highest owned plays on the entire slate.
Right.
Thomas is 6.8K going out first. I think Spieth is Spieth's almost a lock to play 4 still. Like I really believe
that's where I'm at.
He is a lock. Thomas is
a lock
to play 4 rounds. Is all I'm saying.
Why?
Because USA always rotates. They always do.
So why is he a lock to play every round besides the
because
first
there are 32 slots for these first 4 rounds, and 48 potential players can play. So you've already got 4 sitting. I think that they could easily just sit everybody 4 and everybody sit 1. And give 1 or 2 of them double sits, and you just got to figure out who the double sits are.
So you're saying 4 people would double sit.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to start creating rules that if you believe that let's say your conviction is Thomas and Spieth come out in 4-ball and fucking destroy. They are in for the rest of the tournament, and so then you create, if you really have conviction, create the rule: every Thomas lineup has a Spieth, either in captain or in flex, which could be the play, right?
Because it gives you the high price guys as the flex plays after.
Yeah,
like
you've got 2 Hall of Fame golfers at 14.2 total, 14,002 in flex.
Yeah, like I could even go the other way and play. Leaves you 8,100 if you play Thomas at captain, Spieth at the flex spot. Leaves you 8,100 for your last 4 per, and you could fit in the Rahm, the Hovland, And who would be the other one you'd want to play with either of them? Leaves you 7,200. I'm not even going to say it's going to leave you 14-4, as you said. It leaves you 14-4 for 2 spots, and you could fit in any of these one of the guys down low, and then you automatically get anybody you want. And it's going to be different too, because nobody's going to play Thomas or Spieth in the captain spot. Like 0% chance.
Which maybe, and I know there's some people that are down on Thomas and Spieth in terms of their play this year, and rightfully so. But this is an entirely different animal.
It's the 4-ball is like literally where America knows how to play better than anybody else. Like these Americans are like, so they enjoy so much just screwing around and making those big shots to get there.
Right. And they'll feed off the energy of the hate from the European crowd. I mean, Jordan Spieth has no trouble winning on European soil. I think Wyndham Clark is the one that may feel it the most based on what he said. If I were to play a narrative of a guy I'm fading, best golfer in the world, Wyndham Clark, Tony.
Best golfer in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah. Behind Wiley. I hate Thomas, and I'm definitely on a different page than you guys. I think Thomas, I mean, you guys are wanting to like have the nostalgia of him out there rolling in putts, and he's been horrendous for a year. Just because it's the Ryder Cup, he's not going to find his stroke. I mean, they're going to get boat raced. They're going to go out there in the afternoon, and they're going to get their ass handed.
I have a good way of finding nostalgia when the price is right. If they were 9-2, I think they suck. It's all
like Fitzpatrick's so much better of a play than both of those guys.
Fitzpatrick is an excellent thought too, because he's not out first. And
Rose, like Fitzy and Rose. I would take Fitzy and Rose over Spieth and Thomas.
Fitzy is going to play
4.
And
I love how you got, my favorite part is you guys with these bench guys. You guys are just certain that these guys are going to play 4
because we're up top. We're up top. We're up top. Me here, fell out there.
You're a little off. You're getting close.
That's hard to point the wrong way.
This is a fun event, though, right? Like, it's fun to have these conversations, like who we think plays 4.
It's not fun.
Like, I've always loved these events.
It's not fun when it's live at 1 a.m.
That part, I was talking to Uncle T at lunch. That part is not fun. I'll say that
worst.
The second round each day will be fun to watch, though, when we wake up. I think I'm going to put a sheet up too, because I want to put these odds on a sheet. I think you can tell a lot from these odds, and once you line it up with the prices, we might see some clear values. I mean, for me, I freaking love Burns. I think Burns is my favorite.
He's also going to be the highest owned cheap guy. Like, we all know this, right?
I mean, that's fine. I mean, I never have a problem being different. Like, that's never been an issue for me. I just like say you pop Burns in the captain, even like if he wins with Scotty and they look good, he's gonna play 4 or 5 rounds. 4 rounds.
Thomas has a career losing match play record. So does Fitz. Rory 34, 18, and 4.
I mean, Rory is an alpha. No matter what anyone thinks, in this type of event, Rory is an alpha.
Yep,
because he has great bogey avoidance and he knows how to
get
into spots on the birdie spot where his teammate can attack.
And there's a lot of like talk about like, and Wiley talked about it starting the show, but like when these guys all get in the same room, like even in Europe, Rahm, everyone like considers Rahm good, but I promise you, like when it's one guy who we looking at, they're looking at Rory. Like absolutely. Rory is that guy for Europe ahead of Rahm. I don't care what anyone says. Rahm's right there too, like the Robin of the thing, but Rory is the alpha. Scotty and Brooks are the alphas in the other side, and Brooks isn't even playing because ZJ's an idiot.
Yes. Man, Rory is so much outclassed this entire field in terms of his record. I'm just going through the records quickly.
And he's got to be the most likely, too, to play all 5 rounds, too. Like, of
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no way
Well,
he's not going out all 5. Unless
the
he's
flip
just
side, though, is what Fallick brought up, and this is why it's
Freaking
such an interesting
matchup.
thing. He's got to play Xander and Cantlay, which is a tough matchup right out of the gate.
Cantlay 8-4-2 lifetime. The only thing is, you know, they say it's really hot, and I guess they could get gassed. But if you had to stake your life on one person playing all 5, it's going to be Rory number 1 for me.
100%. I think even if he didn't play good, he'd play all 5.
Yeah, of course. Plus the narrative is out there that Wyndham's set, that Wyndham's a better golfer than Rory in his
You
mind.
think they'll line him up?
They are going to
get the chance.
They are going to your first one out is going to be Rory versus Brooks and Wyndham Clark. And imagine they put Rahm with Rory.
They could easily too. How fun would it be? I don't think they'll do this either way, but how amazing would it be, Scotty, if BK played with Scotty and then Rahm played with Rory and you just went out there 4-ball. 4-ball with those 4 would be very good to watch.
Yes.
Kawa has to be one of the best USA plays. Like, I'm just continuing.
I think he's my favorite.
Like, with the odds for this first round, plus his just quality of play in general as a player, feels like he's a good play.
And I think he's like rock solid to play 4 rounds for sure. Just guaranteed to play 4.
Morikawa? Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's one of the few guys that you can just literally lock into 4, I think.
I'd probably put him second to Scheffler in terms of that on the USA side.
Yeah. I mean, because I remember last year or the year before on the 1 or 2 Ryder Cups ago, I think it was Xander and Cantlay were just rolling and they still sat. So I know Wakey sent me a text too, and it's very likely that no one from the U.S. plays all 5, and I agree with that.
Said that already, yeah.
Yeah.
Which means that everybody's going to play 4.
These Europe guys higher than them, which we all agree on that part. I mean, Rory, Hovland, I don't see how Rory, Hovland, and Rahm don't play all 5.
Right, because the bench is not as deep.
Not even close to as deep.
Nope.
Like, I could see, like, if I would pick 6 of these guys to play 3 and just figure out which one are the ones that are going to actually play 3. Harman, Burns, Clark, Thomas. You can put Homa in there if he doesn't play well, and then Fowler. Those are my 6.
On the USA side, those are your 6 to play 3 or less. Ceiling 3.
No. I'm saying 4 of those guys, of those 6, could easily play 3.
Okay. Yes.
Those would be the 6 that I'd pick to play 3, and then everybody else I'd put them on the 4 and up if I were to put odds on who's going to play 4 versus.
I mean, Homa and Harman are a lock for me for 3. I don't think they have any chance at 4 or 5.
You have to put almost Wyndham Clark in that list too.
Wyndham definitely in there too, 100%.
3 max,
3 of them.
maybe over under 2.5, right? I mean,
2.5, and there will be some for sure that only play 2.
It's all dependent on how the script goes for the team. If they're winning early, if they are up 6-2 or 5.5 to 2.5 on day 1, they're gonna sit some of these guys for the first round of day 2 to allow them to be a little bit more rested in hopes that they can pull off and play their, because as we know, the four ball is where they're good at. The 4 sums is not where they're good at. So alternate shot is what it goes alternate shot 4 ball, alternate shot 4 ball, right?
That's right.
So you got to expect that some of these guys are going to sit. They're going to sit the studs if they're up 5.5 to 2.5. They're going to sit them in the alternate shot, so they're full and ready to go for the 4 ball later. Yeah,
I mean, with Rahm, Rory, and Hovland, let's say they play all 5, and then maybe get one guy like a Fleetwood playing maybe 4. You're going to have a couple of guys on the Euro side play 2.
Easily.
I think Højgaard's a lock to play with 2.
I think Bobby Mack is 2.
And Bobby Mack probably is 2 as well.
Yep. And then you fill in with the cheap 3 and ups on the US side
Do they have to play one before singles? They don't have to, right?
No. In fact, I think last time out, one player only played a single.
Bobby Mack shot a +6 last week in the Kazoo Open de France.
And with it being so cheap, I just I want to stay clear of guys like that. But I mean, you have to play some guys down there if you're playing 150. So I guess you can't just pull them out. But I mean, Højgaard is for sure my lead. Højgaard and Brooks are my two least favorites, 100%.
Hate someone like Big T hates Højgaard.
He's just such a bad play. I can't describe how bad of a play he is. But, I mean, I do agree with Fallick that he's going to be the least owned of anybody on the whole board. So there is value to that.
Yeah, I agree with this. They're not gonna lose on their home soil. They feel the momentum. They feel like they have a better team.
Yeah.
And which top end they probably do. And they're going to have a massive crowd behind them.
I mean, the U.S. hasn't won in 30 years over there. There's a reason.
Yeah.
I think Hatton's the sneaky guy, to be honest. Keep on looking at him. I think he
could go 4 easily.
Easily 4. Good, and still if they crush Scheffler and Burns, you're gonna have a big up, because I think Burns is gonna be the highest owned cheap guy. And I think Scheffler is going to be the top 3 owned on the upper side. So then you get Hatton. If Hatton and Rahm beat Scheffler and Burns, Hatton could easily play 4 and even have the upside of 5 if he keeps on playing well. And you could have just a nice little correlation of Rahm and Hatton together a lot.
Highest projected captain ownerships: Hovland, Schauffele, McIlroy, Rahm, Cantlay, no surprise, then Scheffler.
Who's the under 6K? Well, it would be under 9K. Who's the under 9K captain? Highest captain?
The under 9K highest captain is going to be Sam Burns.
Yeah,
but still 2% projected. Yeah, I have Aberg and Hatton captain in a couple of my lineups. I think Aberg Hovland could be, if they go out and destroy scorch earth, Aberg being in partnership with Hovland is not a bad thing. Plus, Aberg's a very scary player.
And they got the best matchup. Let's face it. I love Brian Harman. He's treated me good, but Homa Harman is definitely the easiest matchup on their side for if they get hot. So,
Yep.
I'm with you on Aberg. I think he's very good play.
Yep. Well, what's the final score then?
I think it stays pretty close, actually. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I could see Europe being up early, and I definitely think U.S. has an advantage in singles just because they're deeper. Mm-hmm. But I could see Europe being up like 4 going into Sunday, and then U.S. making a little push on Sunday to make it interesting.
Yeah, the +4 going to Sunday. I mean, this thing could end in a fucking tie. It could. I mean, I'm probably at best for Europe 15-13, but 14.5, 13.5. But you don't want a tie. It's going to be a tie.
I wish they would put something. They never will, but it'd be
USA.
sweet if they had some sudden death format where they'd go play a hole or something. Could you imagine the crowd and the teams following a group? It would be freaking amazing.
Right.
By the way, is there a worse bet than trying to get this outright score? But have you seen these odds?
Yeah, there's no
way. They're just the worst odds I've ever seen in my life.
What's the highest point outcome on the board right now that you can bet?
You can bet USA. It's the 20-8 on both sides is 100-1.
100. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
The most responsible ones are terrible odds.
Yeah,
you don't win enough.
The 6, I'm looking on FanDuel. It's 16.5 to 11.5 is 16-1. USA winning that way, and it's the other way is 15. Europe winning the other way. I have no way. I have no clue how you could even consider betting that.
Yeah, I guess you could. Thinking 100-1, just take a Powerball, put $100 for 10. I mean, 20-8 Europe.
Go put your money on $825 million in the lottery instead.
there's just no there's just no way that Europe can dominate that much in singles against this deep bench. I mean, maybe the top. There's just no way.
So Chris is right, by the way. Our boy C. McDonald's right. The script of U.S. jumping out early tomorrow would be the nuts for the European studs to get them to for sure play 5.
Yeah, that's a great point. But Zach Johnson didn't set it up that way. He put out.
They're still gonna know. I don't totally agree because they're gonna know singles. They need a lead going into singles. Deep down, they're gonna know that. So they're gonna try to get every point early.
I think they're out for blood. I think they're gonna try to. I think that Rahm and Rory are going to play every match, and Hovland, and then even a Hatton at 4. Fleetwood potentially at 4. And it's a matter of what team on the U.S. side just does well. My conviction may be Spieth Thomas. I don't know.
God, I can't believe you guys like Spieth Thomas. Is Falk just randomly on the phone while we're doing this show?
Dan, I guarantee you Dan is talking to him right now.
If that's Dan, it would be absolutely perfect. There's no way it is, though.
Is that your dealer, or is that Dan LaPera?
Is that the new iPhone?
Yeah, is that your dealer, or is that Dan LaPera?
No, that's my wife asking whether they canceled my son's soccer practice for today.
Oh, okay.
Outside.
Oh, you could have made something up. There you go. There's the golf.
I'm going to put a sheet up, too, because now I'm interested. I'm going to 150. All the Run Pure members, obviously, this is free, but I'll put it up in my player pool page. I'll get it up tonight. I'm going to have something good out for the people because I'm going to 150 it. So I'll put out there what I am going to do.
Let me see. Am I going to have to 150 this to feel alive a little bit?
Yeah.
Yep. $25 entry.
I know it's
even more reason to do it.
It's gross. You're still 50% full.
I wouldn't be stunned at all if it overlays with football going and the 1:30 a.m. start. Like, man,
yeah, it's 50% full. 1:30 a.m. I mean, but PGA just doesn't.
All right, Dan just sent me a text back. The problem is he doesn't have salaries. He said, but I'm guessing we can guess what the salaries were. Paul Casey was the most owned guy at 36%.
Which means he was one of the cheap ones, I'm sure.
Yeah, so Xander and DJ were the highest scoring, 150 and above.
How many people played 5 rounds?
Well, you're going to have to fucking look that up. I can't look that up easily here.
That's very demanding, Big Daddy Fallick.
Dan sent you these stats, historicals?
I mean, that quick, too. I mean, Big Daddy Fallick sent that to him like 5 minutes ago, and he just immediately sent back historical numbers to him.
That's amazing.
Well, I see where he ranks. I haven't even got a response for 10K deposits, and he's getting player stats sent to him.
I'm going to ask him what his thoughts are on the Roman Empire. Give me that paragraph.
Ask him about Baldur's Gate.
Have you made it through Baldur's Gate?
I'm trying to DraftKings pricing Ryder Cup 2022 on Google. Haven't found anything yet though.
Get a sheet and put it into Discord.
Yeah, if I find something, I will. I'll put it in. But if I had to guess, it was a pretty balanced build. Harris English got 64 points. I'm sure he was cheap.
Had to be.
You said Xander had 150. What Xander have?
Xander had 166.
Wow.
DJ had 152.
So they both had to go 5-0.
And then nobody else had above one. You had Bryson and Morikawa at 123, Cantlay at 125.
And this is USA side or all sides?
No, this is everybody. The highest scoring European was John Rahm at 111.
God, you really need to get the sides right.
All right,
USA just destroyed them last time.
God, I'm gonna have to find the
last time in Europe in 2018. Was that the last time in Europe because of COVID?
Yep.
They won 17.5 to 10.5.
They got that team was that culture of that team. Remember how bad it was? There was infighting. There was Brooks and DJ fighting, like physically fighting.
Yeah.
There was the Reed stuff. There was Bryson. It was a mess.
What year was the Ryder Cup? 2021?
Yes, because now they've moved it up a year. Yes, 2021.
That's going to do it. That's why I couldn't find any pricing. I put in 2022. All right, I got pricing now. I'll throw something in the chat, but I'll put something together. But yeah, it's definitely Finau was one of the higher priced or higher owned, and he was 7,200 and scored 55 points. So
yeah, that was Molinari Fleetwood back in 2018. They just absolutely wiped people. But Molinari's a killer too. I mean, he's dead-eyed.
Last time Hovland played 5 matches and went 0-3-2.
I saw that his match play record, albeit not.
He's different now too, for sure.
I think his full match play record is 3-3-2. I guess that includes Dell.
Scotty Scheffler was 5,800 and he scored 89 points that year.
He only went 3 rounds too. The only guy that played 5 for the Americans was DJ, and it's because he went 5-0. I got this.
All right, so now. All right, let's talk after this and figure out how we want to put this list together to at least provide a little insight.
We need the Sims for this. because if you believe Brian Harman smashes his first round,
Jesus.
You love Brian Harman. Brian Harman's my boy. You're not allowed
77%. I've got it.
Well, I need to take it down a notch.
This is confirmation bias time. This is me selling myself on Harman, and you guys are not helping me. Him, and
there you go.
I'll get it right. You autist.
God, the people love Harman. Harman's my boy. This is not Harman time. If anyone can give insight on Brian Harman, the dude's won me so much money. This is not Harman. He's a little guy. Little guys aren't going out there and dominating.
Rory's 5'1",
but he's got a 9-incher though. Harman doesn't got that. It is interesting to me that Rory only played 4 last time and he stunk too. So
yeah,
no one played 2 last time for the record. Everyone played at least 3.
Okay.
But they also didn't have Højgaard and Bobby Mack.
So
that could be a little different.
I would take the one person plays 2 future bet. At least one.
I could definitely see that. Because what happens is if they start tomorrow and a couple of these teams do good, they're just going to sit both, and there's no way they play both the next day.
Thank you, Christopher McDonald. He's
I had him in that. The Open is perfect for him. It's an easy event. This is not an easy event.
Now who's confirmation biasing?
Seeing McDonald's posting stuff in the golf chat from an Android like Fowler. You believe that, Wiley? He's got the Big Daddy Fallick, all the money in the world, and he's got a freaking Android. I mean, come on.
It's a thing I can't explain. They need to write books on it though.
All right.
He hates us. Fallick hates us. He can never be in a group chat with us.
Yeah, I mean
I'm just trying to find the damn pricing. That's all I'm trying to do right now. I'm literally watching. I'm watching videos from 2 years ago.
Pricing.
Do you have a PC?
Yes, I have
he
a
does,
PC.
doesn't he? Of course, he's got a PC too. Oh my God, how do I point up here?
It's easy for you.
There we go.
All right, we're gonna go to Showdown now, right?
Yeah, we'll move over to Showdown. We'll be back later tonight with some intel.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for hanging out. Where's this close button?
You do it.